Rashawn, now that we know what self-love is, we got to figure out how to exercise it.
Let's do it.
So one of the things you mentioned was practicing self-compassion.
Yes, practicing self-compassion, meaning being kind to yourself.
It's so hard sometimes.
It is very hard. So it's like treating yourself like you would treat a friend, right? So, you know, I've encouraged even some of my clients, you know, they're talking negatively about themselves or saying, you know, something that they didn't get right. I asked them, so if your friend came to you saying the exact same thing, what would you say to them, right? And so they're able to articulate this positive aspect to what's going on with them. And so I encourage them the same way that you would talk to a friend about what they're struggling with, talk to yourself in the same way, especially during tough times.
Okay, all right, because I was really hard on myself. The last time I was really hard on myself, it was just over the holidays. There was a lot going on, and I didn't make time to go see my grandmother. So yeah, that was the last time I was hard on myself. How would you rephrase that?
Well, I'm sure Grandma knows how much you love her and care about her. And maybe you could just call her or FaceTime. Did you do any things like that?
After we caught up after
and I bet she thought that was just as good, and that was okay. Right? You can find other ways to be in connection, even though it may not happen the day of. Call Grandma the next day. You know, find another, like, hey, Grandma, we didn't celebrate today, but I can come on this day. You know, be kind to yourself and flexible. Right?
Flexibility.
It doesn't have to be on Christmas. Right? It can be any of those other days. So replacing, you know, some of these negative self-talk into more supportive ways of encouraging yourself to be flexible and nice to yourself.
Oh, she's good. Maybe you cry. Okay. What's your next step for making sure we give ourselves that love?
Well, just understanding that you're going to make mistakes. It's a human experience. We all make mistakes and missteps, and not to get down on yourself and dwell on the fact that you are making mistakes as you go along this process of trying to love yourself, right? Because I think a lot of people get stuck in spaces where they're thinking about everything that they didn't get right. Instead of focusing on today and what they can control today and how to move forward.
Well, it's hard to balance that. I'm just rebutting everything.
No, you're fine.
But it can be hard to balance that when you do have standards for yourself, or especially people starting off with New Year's goals and all that.
Absolutely.
So when they do those missteps and then they're being hard on themselves again, you know, what's your advice for really making sure that we're moving forward instead of just staying stuck on those mistakes?
I think it's about the effort in the process, right? Acknowledging that, you know, I'm making these steps and it's not about perfection. I think that's a point that a lot of people get stuck in, is thinking that they're supposed to be perfect and you don't. And celebrating the small steps that you are taking. I am a big advocate of celebrating everything, celebrating the small things. Like, okay, if you're on some journey to get quality sleep, okay, well, tonight I was able to go to bed at 10:30, 11 o'clock. My goal is to go to bed at 9:30, but I was able to get in bed by 10:30. So maybe I'm going to give me a little bit of Starbucks this morning.
I like that. All right, so celebrate those small steps as well. All right, what else should we be doing?
To the same vein of, you know, what I spoke about in terms of like the sleep example, but just taking care of yourself. You know, taking care of yourself physically, making sure that you're getting some regular exercise, making sure that you're eating some nutritious, healthy foods, making sure that you are prioritizing sleep, things like that. And if you continue to struggle with, you know, how you see yourself and how you're engaged in the world, go get help. There are tons of therapists in this big old city, online and in person, that can help facilitate that process and helping you find better ways to engage in being better, having better mental health.
So part of that self-love is taking care of the body, the mind, all of that.
The sleep, exactly.
For those of us who know someone who may struggle with that self-care or that self-love, how do you encourage them to take those steps, especially if it's, you know, like maybe you should be talking to a therapist?
Acknowledge what you're seeing. You know, if it's a friend, like I realized that, you know, you used to work out and you no longer seem to enjoy that or do it. You seem not to be sleeping. You talked about how tired you are all the time. You know, ask them what's going on. Like if they needed any type of support from you, hey, I can help you find someone if you needed it. Or you may already know someone. Let me refer you to this person. I think that this person could be helpful for you.
Now, I'm sure you've run across people who say, no, I don't need the help.
Right.
How do you address that?
Okay, tell me why you don't think you need the help.
That's a good answer.
Tell me why you don't think you need the help, right? You talked about you've struggled with A, B, C, and D. right? So what's your plan to get better on your own if you don't think you need the help? What kind of support can I offer you?
Ooh.
How can I be of service?
Okay.
So it's different type of ways you can sort of switch and transition that conversation to if you're just helping them as a friend or a person that's in their life, or encouraging them to seek help otherwise.
Got it. All right. For ourselves, what other mindset shifts do we need to make to prioritize self-love? Because it could easily get put on the back burner in the midst of everything that we have going on.
I mean, it has to be a priority, like anything else in your life. As you think about going to work, if you're thinking about showing up as a parent or as a friend or as a sibling, it needs to be a priority and something that you work at every single day. And it can be, again, with those small steps. I'm getting sleep tonight. I'm going to eat a healthy breakfast this morning. I'm going to go get that massage as you talked about earlier. So just being mindful of the importance of you taking care of you and how that needs to look.
Okay, thank you for taking care of us. Coming up next, besties, we got my Broadway bestie in to help us pursue our dreams. That is a form of self-care, so you keep it right here. We'll be back.